In his Direct Line radio show, Earl Nightingale talked about paying the price. He said, "You must be willing to pay the price." But what does that mean? What does it mean to be willing to pay the price? What is the price? Now, he was talking about you have to pay this price if you want to be successful in life. So I think you have to start with asking two important questions. What do you view as success in life? And what is an appropriate price to pay for that success? So once you've asked those two basic questions, now we can ask the overarching question. Are you really willing to pay the price? So if we want to really dive into that and figure this out, sort this out for ourselves, we have to start with the definition of the word price. What does price really mean? If you look for a dictionary definition, you'll find two. The first of which is that price is the amount of money expected, required, or given in payment for something. So that's like you go to the store, you go shopping, everything in the store has a price, right? And the other definition of price is an unwelcome experience, event, or action involved as a condition of achieving a desired end. So that denotes a certain amount of suffering, right? Something unpleasant that you have to go through to get where you want to be. That's the price of achieving the end goal. So that goal, that's key, right? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted something and then when you got it, you realize that you either didn't really want it or you no longer want it? For an example, a really bad meal, right? Looked good in the pictures or it sounded good on the menu or the way someone else described the meal, but when you tasted it, you just did not like it. You just didn't want it. But until you tasted it, right? And still until you had a taste of it, you didn't know that. So you paid the price for it and didn't even really want it. Another example, bad relationship. You see this person, right? And they're physically attractive to you and the things that you know about them makes you want them to desire, or the things you don't know about them make you want them, you just have this desire for them. So you say, I'm willing to pay the price to have this relationship. I'm really willing to pay the price to talk to this person, to feel this person, to touch this person. And then when you really got a chance to get to know them, wasn't worth it. Now you were willing to pay the price beforehand, but once you got it, you realize you didn't want it. So I think part of the key is to determine or get a better idea what the price should be beforehand. Just imagine how much time, energy, effort that we could save if we understood the value of what we were wanting to pay the price for before we paid the price. I mean, we've all got something and realized that it wasn't worth the price. We either realized it immediately or we realized it down the road. For example, let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I remember being a young soldier stationed at Fort Bragg. This was back in the '90s, right? And big thing back then was big woofers, big speakers in your trunk, in your car, right? Bass, make the trunk rattle. We had to have that sound, right? That and along with rims on the car. See, we had to have these rims, and a big thing here was chrome. Having chrome on the side of your car. Cars that didn't even need chrome. Um, we would take a hoopty, we would call a raggedy car, put some chrome on it. That's how bad it was, right? But now when I look back at that, right, and I realize how much money that we wasted in our youth on the oversized speakers, right? The rims that rolled just like the other rims that were on the car, right? The chrome that we put on these vehicles, all the money that we sunk into this car. And I look at it, if I'd have took that money and bought some stock in Microsoft or Apple, right? I'd be a wealthy man today. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't worth it. But at the time, we thought we needed to have it because young men are driven by this desire to impress women, right? And if we had these speakers and this rims and this chrome that the girls would like that, so we figured it was worth the price. And now I look back at it and realize how stupid it was. It was not worth the price. So here's a couple considerations that I would offer when you're determining whether or not you are willing to pay the price, if it's worth it to you to pay the price. Number one, why do you want it? Whatever it is, why do you want it? I would encourage you to think deeply about why you want it. Is it for you or is it for someone else? And if it's for you, why? What void are you attempting to fill? Is it an emotional void or is it a logical void? All these things we need to consider before we pay that price. Why do you want it? Another consideration is the true price. Sometimes the true price is not what's just on the price tag. Example, a car, right? May cost you one thing to purchase the automobile. What are the maintenance costs of that? How much does it cost you to maintain it? Are there extra taxes involved? Are there extra fees involved? We start adding these things together and then we get the true price, right? Not just the surface price or the price that's on the tag, but the true price of it. I use the car as an example. This applies to everything in our life. What's the price we really pay to have something? That's something we need to consider when we're trying to determine whether or not we're really willing to pay the price. And a third consideration is the opportunity cost. Earlier, I mentioned um, spending money on things that we call depreciating assets, right? When I could have put that money somewhere into something that would grow. In fact, that amount of money would have made me a wealthy man today. That's an opportunity cost. What are you giving up in order to get that thing that you say you want? We need to think about that before we make that move, before we decide to pay that price. Now, after we've done all that, and in the end, it's a good decision, we've come to the determination that it's a good decision. We say that it is worth it. We say that we're willing to pay that price must be paid. There's no way around that. So if it's worth it, you must pay it. Just think about it before you do. Peace.